So they call it stage 5 black fatigue. Stage 5 in it, G. Okay. It's funny because we're having a lot of race conversations today, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. It's so funny. But I love these conversations, dude. They're real. Let's get into it. There's going to be a lot of butt hurts in the chat. Yeah.
Black fatigue. People are tired of black people. Every time you look up, some Negroes arguing about something.
Well, you know,
Derek Penny, that whole situation.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. That was incredible, and it's. I'll be honest. One of the things that's amazing to me, because I am American. I lived here till I was 8, and then I grew up in England, and then I moved all around the world. What's kind of amazing to me about the American consciousness is that they have this huge preposition with racism. And they seem to think this is a racist country. Like, you motherfuckers haven't been anywhere. Yeah. Because this is the least racist nation on the planet. You think America's racist? Let me tell you where's racist. You know the most racist place? Africa.
Oh, yeah.
You ever been to Africa? You Hutu, you're Tutu, you're Boo-Boo. Like, they're fucking killing each other. They're having genocide. They all look the fucking same. They're pulling out machetes. Look at the Rwandan genocide. I couldn't even tell the two teams. They're running around fucking swinging blades. Bro, the whole world's fucking racist.
Killing each other over nothing.
Over nothing. Hutu, Tutu, your nose shape. I don't know the fuck.
Huge continent. You got all these black people. You got all these resources.
All they do is kill.
And they're probably the poorest continent in the world.
Of course.
They have no leadership, and their culture is just broken.
100%. And also, it's because Africa's rich that it's poor, which we'll talk about in a second. But America's the least racist place you find on the planet. You think China isn't racist? You think Japan's not fucking racist? You think India's not racist with its caste system? Right. You think Africa's not racist with its fucking genocides?
Right.
Tell them.
Everywhere, even when I moved to England, the amount of racism I dealt with for being American. Like, I was American, they're like, oh, yank, oh, dickhead, school shooter. But it's like, watch out. But the thing is, I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But these people can't take a fucking joke.
Right.
Like, I love when people, I have the most diverse friend group, and our friendships are based on racism. Like, it's funny. It's funny. Like, I know a white guy.
Yeah.
Who's loyal.
Right.
Fucking weird. But, like, we make fun of each other all the time. Like, racism is hilarious amongst a friend group.
Right.
But in America, everyone's so sensitive to it. It's insane. And they believe they live in a racist country. It's like, you need to go basically anywhere else. Yeah. Go anywhere else and you will see.
True. That's so true, dude. Americans they're living in such a bubble, especially when I try to tell Black Americans, be careful going to places like the Balkans. Be careful going to some more backward-ass parts of, for example, Eastern Europe. Because the leftist progressive mentality isn't baked in there, and the people are extremely tribal. And I try to tell them about the ethnic violence that exists in just the Balkans alone. Like, hey, it's not safe for other Balkans. Like, if you're from Croatia and you go to Belgrade in Serbia or something, they got problems because of the Balkan War. They hate each other. You have people that for millennia have been killing each other that look exactly the same, maybe speak with a slightly different accented dialect, and they're mortal enemies. And they're like, no, bro, they love us over there. And I'm like, yeah, until you step in the wrong, but it's kind of dangerous. Be careful. All I said was be careful. These people don't like outsiders in their countries. I've heard them talking to one another. I know what they're saying to one another when you're not present, right? So nobody's policing any speech or pretending to be nice or a nice smile because you're a foreigner and you're buying their shit or whatever. I know what they're saying behind, closed doors. What the real conversations are like. You're not wanted there. They're not nice to any outsiders. Forget your skin color. Any outsider from even the neighboring country, they don't like you. The Balkanization of the actual Balkans is proof that that's real. And it happens in other countries too. The Balkanization, like in the African, some of the republics there, just look at how they kill each other, just like Tate said. Some of the Asian countries that still have or had violence, but it's the same thing. Historically, look at other places. They don't look too different, guys. This is why I said be careful. But Americans live in such a bubble that they're like, they think the rest of the world is some utopia until you travel and see what real racism is. Until you see like overtly, you're going shopping and the security guard is actively following you around and looking at you dead in the face and they don't give a fuck. Literally like this. Just watching, you're like, damn, bro, what the fuck's this problem? By the time you get back to America, you're like, wow, it's actually really nice here. Racism is nothing like it is overseas. It's in your face. So I'm 100% in agreement with him. See, look at this. My Greek grandpa would shit talk about Romanian illegals. No offense, but no offense taken, dude. My father's side's Greek, so no offense taken. I'm part Greek in that sense. Literally from Sparta. Father's got Spartan DNA. So I'm just being real. I was trying to protect the brothers, and then they turned on me. It's all good.
And what's interesting is actually the countries like Dubai, which I spent a lot of time in, the UAE, which is a super diverse country with 80% immigration. But the locals, the natives, they're above you. You can't fuck with a Gulf Arab.
That's also
UAE.
true.
You can come and you can visit and you can buy a nice.
This is what I was talking about, two-tier citizenry and why we need it in the United States. I don't want to go on a mean tangent in this episode. Maybe I'll break it down in another one. But I do believe voting is not a right, and it should be a privilege. And that privilege is earned by serving in the military or a civic kind of service. Think volunteering in the civil corps to build bridges, nursing, schooling, education, cleaning up the cities, stuff like that. We should absolutely have a mandatory civil or military service for 2 years. Everybody is conscripted, and then you get to vote by joining that if you choose to join. I mean, if it's mandatory, you're forced to anyways, but let's just say we'll start with it being an opt-in, and those that opt in will get the right to vote because they put in. And you get to learn skills for free. You will be housed, you will be fed, you'll get experience, right? And then you can go off to college and specialize in whatever aptitudes you may show during your civil or military training. And that gives us, that we have a stake in the system when we do that. We can mobilize our youth. This is the best system in the world, and we will go back to it one day. I guarantee you, because what we currently have, the conversations right now, since we're talking about like racial dynamics, there are two conversations that are really being had. It's the blood and soil ethnic nationalism on one side, and then you have the civic nationalism on the other. Okay, there's problems with both systems. Ethnic nationalism, or the blood and soil that people are kind of bringing up, like we must have our own people, we must be of the same ethnicity and crowd out everybody else. Well, the problem is, let's just use Europe as an example, like the Balkans. Eventually, even amongst, let's say for Europeans, we're going to start infighting and balkanizing because you're not white enough. You're not European enough. You're not really white. You are something else, mixed with something else. The same way you see tribal warfare in Africa. You're not one of us. Although we look the same. We are the same. We speak the same language for the most part. We even believe in the same God. Almost everything is the same. Historically, our bloodlines are close, but something, you're not real enough, something, your hair this, ethnically, you don't come from this area in the mountains here, you're not one of us. This is the problem with ethnic nationalism, is it leads to a fracturing eventually as people seek purity. You understand? This is why it falls on itself. This is why the Balkans have been held back so much, despite having a ton of people with a ton of potential. It remains far behind Western Europe because the people there treat each other like enemies amongst their neighbors. Yugoslavia is the perfect example of this. Once Yugoslavia broke up, and then they had the Balkan War there, and the violence between Serbs and Croats and Bosniaks and all that shit, they are practically, they hate each other. They hate each other more so much that, 100,000 immigrants will come into Bosnia or Serbia, and instead of focusing their sectarian or ethnic violence or whatever nationalism, instead of channeling their nationalism into their home country and getting rid of migrants that are taking the jobs, they have 20% unemployment rate with the youth. Instead of doing that, they will still fight each other. It's better than a Croat. It's better than a Serb. It's better than, are you fucking dumb? You're white. You have the same language. You are the same Slavic people. Yet you were conned by NATO to believe that you're somehow different. You got bombed, Belgrade. They bombed Belgrade. They chopped your country up into pieces. They left you divided in tatters, and now you're 4 or 5 different countries, and you have no bargaining rights. You have no power, and you have no fucking future. Do you know how powerful a state like Yugoslavia would? It could have rivaled Germany. It was as big. It had access to seaports. It had great resources, a ton of people living there population-wise, and it would have been one of the most powerful nations in Europe. Instead, it was divided up into small states, and now each inhabitant, each citizen of each of those states lives in poverty compared to the West. That shit's crazy. So that's where, I guess you could say, the ethnic nationalism leads to. Then you have the civic nationalism, which is like we all fight for the same system, right? Think Rome. Rome is the perfect example of civic nationalism. The problem with that is it becomes distorted so much that you lose an identity. So, for example, Rome gave citizenship to everybody within the empire out of need because it overextended itself and it needed more warriors, it needed more legions, and it needed more people, more bodies. So why not give people a stake in the system? Well, that degraded the centralized identity of what a Roman citizen was. So America's kind of dealing with this right now because we don't have a strong underpinning of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture that founded America, right? That is dissolving. Now there's Black America, Hispanic America, Asian America, you got white America, and even white America. They got liberals, and then you have the conservatives. And so you have many little cultures of these many different sects, and it's leading to the diffusion of the state, which is why we can't govern ourselves properly, because so many people see themselves in such different categories that you can't appease everybody. So everybody's fighting for their piece of the pie. Civic nationalism fails because we gave everybody a carve out. Sure, you can have your Black community. Sure, you can have your Hispanic community. Sure, you can have this. Instead of underpinning all these communities in what the country was founded on, Anglo-Saxon principles, because that's what gave it this power. That's the best system we have. That's the original system it was founded on. Imagine like what Rome was founded on, the Roman principles, right? And so now that we gave everybody carve-outs, we're not doing that anymore. Force everybody into the Anglo-Saxon European identity, but turn it into a civic section. For example, we're all Americans. Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. But you adhere to European principles, white Anglo-Saxon Christianity, Protestantism. You adhere to all the principles of the founding fathers. There is no more Black culture. There's no more Hispanic culture, Asian culture, any culture besides the American culture for which it was founded on. Now, we will by default use WASPs because that's what was founded upon. And that's the one that gave us all the wealth and the opportunity, which is why everybody moved here. But anybody that comes here now until eternity in the future must assimilate into that underpinning of that culture. That's the hybrid form. Because if you allow the cutouts to happen, just like the Roman Empire, the Germanics, the Goths, the whoever else, the Gauls that came in and then now had citizenship, all start to accumulate power with their own self-interest. And then the empire gradually degrades culturally and then splits, falls apart. So America's degrading culturally because we're not all united under the American identity. We all are creating our own carve-outs for our own communities, and each one of these communities are vying for power. So we cannot effectively govern. This is why I say that we need a hybrid system, and the only system that would work is the one that breeds the nationalism with the civic duty underpinned by the American identity. So it doesn't matter what your skin color is, you got merit. Whether you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, who cares? If you're willing to lay down your life for this country and you show promise and aptitude and you have great leadership and all of that, then you will be elevated at the halls of power. There is no longer, oh yeah, it's skin color, it's all that shit. No, it's just that man, whether he's Black, white, Asian, who cares? I want to be like him. That guy's a primo example of what a man should be. Look at this. This is a great example. He's smart. He's decisive. He's a great leader. He sacrificed his life, blah, 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 for this stuff. Or willing to, blah, blah, blah. He shows an aptitude for whatever. And we look at that as men and we go, damn, that's the ideal to live up to. Any man should be given an opportunity to live up to that ideal, but you can only do it under one culture, one identity. The white American Anglo-Saxon culture, Protestant Christianity, or at least Christian beliefs. That's what the country is founded on, and that's what the identity needs to be. So we don't create carve-outs. Can't have any other culture. If we do that, we'll succeed. If we don't, we won't. I'm telling you. We're already, we're headed down, the part where Rome was falling because we have so many cultures in the United States. We can no longer effectively govern. So this is what I mean when I say we need one monolithic identity of America, Americans. And yes, you can look different, but you still operate culturally exactly the same.
house and you can live there and you can enjoy Dubai. But if you crash your car into an Arab, it was your fault.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. Like, there's no way out of it, right? So the whole world's fucking racist except America. And these people are constantly and endlessly crying. It's like so ungrateful almost.
Well,
It's ungrateful.
I think most of it comes from the black community, though. I think that's what's keeping racism alive in this country. Yeah, and they got the white liberals pushing it too.
And Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone's tired of it now, but they're going to keep trying to push it because it allows them to feel important for 5 seconds. So they're going to keep trying to push it.
Andrew, do you consider yourself to be African American?
Well, there's times. I'm like the day walker. I swap in and out. It depends.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Like I had an auntie. She's black and she talks like a white woman until she gets mad. Then she's Jamaican.
Yeah.
You ever had one of them?
Yeah, definitely.
That's like me.
Yeah.
Depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes I'm white, sometimes I'm black. Depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
But no, it's really interesting. And also, pattern recognition isn't racism. We need to make that very clear. Like if I think of a pedophile, I imagine a white man.
Yeah. Right.
And if I think of gang shooting, I imagine a black man. Call me racist, but that's just what I imagine, right?
When I think of tacos, I think of Latinos.
Well, that's right. Yeah, 100%. Build the wall. So we got enough tacos. It's fine. We don't need any more. So
if I walk into a restaurant, a Latino restaurant, and I see a bunch of Asians making tacos, I'm walking right out.
100%.
Yeah.
So racial stereotypes also exist for a reason, but now we're going to try and tell us that we have to ignore basic pattern recognition or it's racism. Right. And this is the point that's difficult because I'll be completely honest with you. If I was Snow White and I was a police officer and I was in inner Chicago and it's 4 a.m. and I've stopped a Toyota Camry and there's 4 black guys in it. And my partner got killed 2 years ago because of a Toyota Camry with 4 black guys in it. And they're not compliant. I'll be trigger happy. Now, to pretend he's not, that's pattern recognition.
Yeah, right.
That's pattern.
That's how you survive.
That's how you survive in the world.
Yeah.
The reason our ancestors survived is because we saw someone go try and pet the lion.
Right.
Got eaten. And we're like, there's a pattern here. Yeah. You try. Oh, he died too. Okay. Avoid the lion. Right. There's a pattern recognition. So what's interesting, what's so scary about this racism argument is it prevents people. I'll give you another example of this in a second, but it prevents people from acting appropriately, understanding that perhaps the world's not a perfect place. Perhaps it's never going to be fully balanced. So you need to understand when you are going to be deemed more of a threat. So if I was a completely black person in that Toyota Camry, I would say, this officer's intimidated guys. We would be on our best behavior.
Right.
Now, they'll sit and say, I shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to lock your door at night.
Yeah.
But you do.
Right.
The world's not a perfect fucking place.
Right.
There's no such thing as shouldn't have to.
Right.
I'm a big man. If I go and knock, let's say my car breaks down and I go knock on someone's door in the middle of the night, I know that I'm scary. If a little girl knocks, they may open it. I'm going to be more intimidating. I have to keep that in mind. I'm not going to be at the door like they're trying to flex. Yeah. They're not going to fucking open it. You have to know the game you're playing.
Yeah, because white people, someone knocking on the door, they're like, I don't know this guy. This is probably a home invasion.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So what I'm saying is, and this get me in trouble, if you're a black person in the inner city and you understand how the inner city runs, when you're getting stopped by police, you should comply more than ever because you should understand perhaps it's unfair he has these preconceived notions. Perhaps it's unfair. Perhaps you're a great person. Perhaps, yes. But the world's not perfect.
Yeah. Right.
And thinking that the world is perfect and us trying to push this ideal version of the world where everyone ignores basic pattern recognition is bullshit and garbage. I'm more intimidated when I walk past 5 men. If I'm walking alone at night and there's 5 men on a street corner, I find that more scary than 5 women on a street corner. Yeah. Am I sexist? No, that's fucking, I'm not a dumbass. I'm a realist. I'm a realist. So this racism's gone so far now that we're disrupting the ability for people to be realists. So they're expecting a little white woman to walk past 5 big Negroes in the middle of inner city Chicago and be like, don't be racist, Jane. Don't be racist, Jane. Don't be racist. Hi, fellas. Like, bro, you're going to lose your handbag, at least.
Right. That doesn't bother me like if I'm getting to an elevator. This has happened to us. We'll get in an elevator and it's just a white lady and she'll just back in the corner and just like grab onto her purse. Yeah. I'm like, I don't blame you.
100%.
Yeah. 100%. I don't blame you at all.
But what's funny about it is they'll pretend that being intimidating is a terrible curse when it comes to something like a police stop. When they live their entire life trying to be as intimidating as possible.
Exactly.
You're standing a certain way. You're dressing a certain way. You're listening to certain music. You're fucking gangbanging. You want everyone to walk past you to know you're a real fucking G. You want everyone scared of you all the time. Except for when the cop gets scared and pulls his weapon, then it's like, whoa, what's the problem? You've been scaring people your whole fucking life. You've been intimidating people your whole life. You could have had a 3-piece suit on.
Yeah, I think that word racism is losing its edge, especially in the don't give a F society that we're kind of living. We're swinging that pendulum way back from the progressive, politically correct world that we were just in even a few years ago. And it's swinging back hard, especially gaining momentum with, the left being such degenerates that they are. Essentially, the Charlie Kirk assassination, the ICE shooting, the other trans shooting, stuff like that. Like, people are just sick of it. You see any company that tries to touch, LGBTQ advertisements or put like a trans woman or whatever on their videos and their ads, it's like, go woke, go broke. People don't want to hear that shit. Jaguar, other companies that have tried to do rebrandings that were woke, absolutely tanking. Cracker Barrel was the latest one that tried to do woke shit, removing the old white man. They folded, put him back on there. They had a super woke CEO chick. People are done with that shit. Like, your words mean nothing, dude. Anything and everything could be racist to anybody who's offended. And it turns out people are so fucking soft today that everybody's offended by every fucking thing. So nobody cares anymore. Congratulations.
Yeah. And a fucking little hat.
Yeah.
You've been fine. No, you're wearing a fucking Crip bandana. Right. Why do you think I was a gangster?
Right. Like, talking in Ebonics.
Yeah, but it's bullshit. So all of this is done on purpose. This whole racism argument has gone way too far. As far as I know, black people and white people have basically the fair treat. The law applies to all of us. DEI actually gave black people a whole bunch of advantages over white people. Mm-hmm. So to sit here and believe that this is a racist country is completely ignorant. It's not a racist country. And you can succeed in this country if you, no matter what skin color you are, if you try your best and you conduct yourself the right way. And perhaps there'll be the odd scenario where you feel like you're being treated differently because of your skin color in a negative, but also you're not talking about all of the times you were treated in a positive because of your skin color. Perhaps because you're a big black man, you have problems in police stops, but you ain't got problems walking alone at night like a little white person does. So there's a bunch of times people were sitting there waiting to rob someone and goes, not him.
Right.
So you had the pros and the cons.
Right.
So you get the pros and the cons of these things.
That's life.
That's life. So
you got to take advantage of the pros.
Exactly. And just to go back on my point, because I mentioned it earlier and I just want to wrap it up. I said about how Africa's poor because it's rich. Mm-hmm. I watched a really interesting study. You should watch it. It was about what makes the perfect nation. Because I was trying to build the perfect country in my mind. Like, what would make the perfect nation? It was talking about if you started from zero, how would you have the richest, most prosperous, perfect country? And it said the countries with the best weather are countries like England and Netherlands, because you want it to be a little bit rainy. You want to be able to have agriculture, and you don't want people to have too much fun for free. Like in Thailand, they ain't got to be rich. You just go to the beach, get coconut. They're living good. In England, you got to have a Ferrari and a mansion. You're still depressed. Right. So you work very hard. You pay a lot of taxes. There's a whole bunch of things involved with it. But it said that if you have a complicated societal structure, natural resources makes your country richer. So like Norway is very rich. They have oil and a bunch of natural resources, but they have a complicated social structure. So they dig the oil up and that money goes to the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, which goes into the stocks and bonds and the gold ETFs, and it's all tracked online, and they're a very rich country. Africa's super rich, but they don't have complicated systems. So what happens there is that they discover cobalt. The problem with natural resources is it doesn't require society to get the value of it. So if you have a country that builds jet engines, you now need factories, which takes workforce, which need houses, which need universities, which need schools, which need hospitals, which needs roads. So you have to build all this infrastructure around it to produce these jet engines. If you find cobalt, you just got to dig it up out of the ground. So Africa's problem is that it's so rich, they don't have these complicated structures. So what happens is they find cobalt. The dictator gets a deal from outside, usually the West, to get money into his pocket. They send a few soldiers and a few kids to go dig it up. They take all the cobalt out. It goes straight to the West. The dictator gets rich. None of the African people get rich. None of the African nation gets rich. They don't build anything. And the cobalt's gone. West is rich. Dictator goes to Dubai. Boom, done. So Africa's biggest problem is that it's actually so rich in resources that it's held back by how many things it has. If it didn't have any resources, they could build things and put it all together and start building jet engines, but they don't, because they're like, look, we found something interesting.
I don't know
The
about
dictator
that.
gets rich, few of the elites get rich, and the average person gets fucked. So it's kind of unfair. But that's the African story.
I don't know about that. I think, the magic soil theory that Europe just had the perfect conditions. I don't believe that shit either. You send a bunch of Norwegians out there in some random country. I mean, we have examples of that already. South Africa and Rhodesia. So it can't be because the soil and the weather over a long enough time period. It's more than that.
Do you think that's... I'm going to sound like a white supremacist when I say this.
I know what you're going to say. Don't even say
Do you think that's genetic?
Well,
but come on, man.
Byron Daniels is after me. Byron Daniels. No, but let's think.
Well, let me take that back. It's not genetic, it's culture.
Yeah. I mean, let's But culture on a long enough time frame is genetic.
Yeah.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
So
Heard that? Culture on a long enough time frame is genetic.
like if when white people, you know what I love? If you watch on Twitter, it's actually the best argument. It's so fun. The race realists, the super racists who say like black people are genetically different to white people and you're more violent and all this shit. They always attack me on Twitter they call me mulatto and all this shit. It's so funny. And I read all their shit. I read all their shit. I read all the race realism stuff. And I'm kind of sitting there going, kind of agree with some of it. Yeah. They're saying black people are more naturally violent. I'm like, you're damn right. Watch out. But that's right, pussy. But culture on a long enough time frame becomes genetics. I mean, let's be honest. Is the average African as smart as the average Westerner? No. I would argue that if you go to the Central African Republic where they don't have schools and they don't have infrastructure and their parents haven't been to school and their grandparents haven't been to school, that probably they're not as smart as somebody who's their entire bloodline's been university educated. Probably that is true. So after a long enough time frame, it becomes genetic. And then you want to take enough of them and dump them over here and expect them to operate within complicated systems they don't fully understand.
That's true.
They're probably just going to say, fuck it, let's rob the store. And then you have, I mean, this is realism.
Yeah, because you look at Africa, it's a continent, it's not a country. But if that was a country like the United States with the resources they got, the manpower they have, it would be a superpower.
It should be
the biggest superpower.
It should be a superpower.
But this little United States, majority is white, is running the world.
Well, white people are the best at building complicated systems. That's what the white people do best.
Yeah.
I mean, like my camera guy who's off. There he is. Look at him.
White
right?
guy.
These are the people who in 1960s in NASA when they did Apollo 11.
Yeah.
All them motherfuckers, there's like 20,000 of them, little white guys with glasses and pieces of paper and a pen, and they put something on the moon.
Yeah.
You get 10,000 black people in a room, tell them to achieve anything.
Dude, that was so wrong. But factual.
How long till there's a fight? Shaniqua's jumping in. She's trying to hit it. Like we're more family orientated. We're more clan orientated. Right?
Yeah.
You know,
we're
like,
tribalistic.
We're tribalistic, which is a pro and a con. Again, these are pros and cons, but if you want to extrapolate it out towards a nation state, the thing the white man is best at is working with people he doesn't know. That's a white man's superpower. A white man will go, hello, I've got a bunch of money, and I want to.
I don't agree with that because I think Japan is orientated very similarly to Western Europe in that sense. If you look at medieval Europe and then the shogunate era of Japan, you start to notice that there was these small carve-outs everywhere, small pockets of power. You had thousands of kings at one time in Europe, bannermen fighting for whatever. Same thing with Japan, the shoguns. That's a natural evolution of that system or that style of, what could you say, self-governance that spawned from two very highly dense populated areas. Japan, obviously confined to the islands, but then Western Europe confined to that small landmass as well. So that system was born out of two separate cultures, Japan and Western Europe, that led to the superpower that he's talking about. I don't think it has anything to do, at least intrinsically, with whites because it got reproduced somewhere in Asia as well with Japanese people. So, I mean, Tokyo was massive. It was the largest city, I think, pre-World War II. It was larger than any other European capital, if I'm not mistaken. So, but again, the development path was very similar. Shogunates, medieval Europe. Small pockets of power, constantly fighting, allegiances, contracts, agreements, right? Combinations of shogunates, kings coming together, marrying for power, stuff like that. So you developed a sort of a culture, a societal standard that led to the massive proliferation of, the state and what we call that today. And I think that also was mostly, I don't know. It's hard to say. Is that nature? Is that nurture? A lot of that for sure is nurture, right? How much of it was nature in terms of the geography? Because, you were locked in an island and then you were locked in that small part of Europe. Can this be reproduced in other parts of the world? Maybe. Probably. You take enough different people in a locked environment like that for a long enough time, you could probably reproduce it. Of course, if it's happened in one place or two places, in this example, it could happen in more. I think the development path was just different. Japan and Europe had developed in a similar fashion due to some maybe intrinsic cultural values, The Japanese were very high on what would you say? Like the Miyamoto Musashi stuff, right? Like the warrior mentality, the discipline above all else, right? They had so many things going for them that helped them produce that kind of society. And then whites developed their own system, I guess, in a similar time with medieval Europe and Christendom leading them into those kind of values. So it's very interesting.
Build boats. I've decided I want to build boats. So I'm going to go and find the best boat builder. John Smith. Hello, boat builder. I don't know you. You don't know me. This is called a contract. I must do a contract and you're going to build the boats and I'm going to pay for it. And now we have a successful shipping company. In Africa, it doesn't work that way. They're like, I'm rich. I want boats. Who do I know? My cousin.
Yeah.
My cousin can't build boats. He doesn't know anything about boats, but that's who I know. He's the only guy I trust. He's in my clan. He's my family. So I go to my cousin. You're in charge of the boats. Okay, I will build the boats. And he takes the money, and then no boats get built, and everything's fine. That's why the finance minister is the second cousin of the fucking president, and nobody knows anything, and it's all insidious because you only trust your people. Now, I'm still like that now. I'm black enough like that now. I trust my brother, my people. So I got that black in me. But I'm also white enough to know I can do a contract and get a boat built. But white people are fantastic at trusting people they don't know. That's why white people are like, howdy neighbor. They don't even know you. Howdy. White people have this weird, no, it's not weird, but the white people mentality is far more attributed towards the benefit of society with a larger understanding of working with those they're not directly correlated with. Whereas the black people is like, these are my people only. And it's very insular. But it becomes far more difficult to run a country that way with competence. If you want to run a country competently, you need to find the most competent man for the job. I don't know if this is true. I don't want to be held up on it, and I don't want to be attacked for it. It might not be true, but I heard something that when the British started selling their ships around, they were amazed that when they got to all these native countries, the Aboriginals in Australia and Africa and India, all these places, no one had heard of a contract. No one had heard of the idea of working with someone who wasn't their family. They're like, it's a contract. They haven't heard of a contract. No one had heard of it. So what? You just find anyone to do it?
Heard of a house? They was living in grass huts.
Well, that's right. So they were like
savages.
Yeah. Well,
have you seen those videos of them eating? Africa. Hey, put this thing here 20. Just put up those TikTok videos of these African tribes.
Byron, I'm sorry. Listen, I know you got busted for weed. Fucking talk about letting the black man down. For busted for fucking weed.
Check fraud.
Andrew Tate's a human trafficker. Fuck this guy. I'm moving to Vegas. Fuck these people. Bring your case. Fuck you.
Yeah, make it bigger, Joe. These people have not evolved at all for probably 5,000 years. Imagine being a white man back in the slave days. Yeah, we'll take these.
All right, so let's talk about this now.
Yeah.
We're going down race realism, and we're the only people brown enough to get away with this, so we can do it.
Oh, we're not going to get away with this shit.
Well, let's talk about it, right? Yeah. So the white man, where he grew up, primarily, they had to plan ahead in a way different than the Africans did. So, if you were in England, you had to grow grain, because that's how you eat. But grain only grows a certain part of the year. So you have to think ahead, and you have to plan. You have to plow the field. Then you have to grow the grain. Then you got to build buildings to store it in. And that means you need a lot of people. A lot of people need schools, hospitals, roads, housing. Now you need a city. You have to plan everything over a year cycle just to have food. In Africa, they didn't have to do that. Mango. Boom. They just go get a mango when they're hungry. Go kill this. They had so much resource, they didn't have to plan ahead. Wait till you're hungry, kill something, eat it. You didn't have the same infrastructure that was required to eat.
Yeah, it gets cold.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, no? That the global south is not as developed as the global north, especially right around the equator, where the weather is just, stable year round. Consistent, pretty much worldwide in that sense.
In Europe,
it gets cold. You got to build a house. You need firewood. You got to think ahead. You apply that across 1,000 years. You have a very different mentality towards life than you do in Africa, which is just pure brutal survivalism. That's what it is.
I've heard that argument because of the weather, white versus the white man and the black man. Both races evolved differently over time because living in a cold, horrible climate, you got to think.
Yep.
And you live in a warm.
Are there cold countries in Africa, guys, with very high elevation? I'm curious. Somebody in chat tell me. We'll play some super chats. Is there a country that has very, very cold climate despite being in Africa?